Hey guys, it is Amor, and tonight's webinar is how do I complete the FAFSA. So we're going to go over that, and if you aren't aware of my consulting company, it's Education Innovations. So our webinar tonight is how do I complete the FAFSA, and I'm just going to give you an overview of how I run this webinar. So what I will do is basically break down the steps of how to complete the FAFSA, which is our topic tonight, probably within a minute, and then I'll break down each of the subcategories so that you could clearly understand what's going on. So why don't we go ahead and get started? And the question, and a lot of people may be intimidated, is how to complete the FAFSA. And the FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And so this is absolutely necessary to figure out what kind of financial aid that you qualify for. So in order to complete the FAFSA, you are going to need several pieces of information. And it's for a lot of people who are in high school, it's not just you who needs the information, it is your parents. So you're going to need, because you're going to be applying for the 2018-2019 school year. So you're going to need the tax returns from 2016 for your parents and yourself. You are also going to need a record of your untaxed income. You're going to need your social security card. And if you are not a citizen, but you are a resident, you're going to need your alien registration number. You're also going to need your bank statement and records of investments. And one of the most important things is you're going to need your FSA ID, which is your Federal Student Aid ID. And that's so that you can sign electronically the documents. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down each piece of information that you are going to, complete while you're doing the application. So you're probably wondering, like, when do I do it? First of all, the FAFSA form has already opened up so that you can complete it since October the 1st. And it's kind of like a pot of money, I'd say. It's a first come, first serve. So I'm sideways. Okay, thanks, Jamie. This is so weird because people were saying before that I wasn't sideways. So you know what? I might just have to hold this in my hand. I might have to cut this off for a second. This is really weird. Give me a moment, okay? I know what I'll do. I'll just put you guys over here. Thanks, Jamie. So I was sideways for a second. Now I'm trying to get my life together, and I am not sideways. So thanks again. Can you see me? Can you see me all right now? Okay, thanks. So what I was saying before is the pieces of information that you need to complete the FAFSA form. And this includes for the student who's applying, who is in college, as well as their parents. You're going to need the 2016 tax return. You're going to need records of untaxed income. You're going to also need your social security card. If you are not a citizen, you're going to need your alien registration number, your bank statements, and records of investment. And most importantly, you're going to need your FSA ID. And your FSA ID is the Federal Student Aid ID, and that is very important so that you can electronically sign your forms. So what's going to happen is the application has already opened up since October 1st. And there are about 3 deadlines that you need to be aware of. And so they differ from state to state and college to college. So there are 3 deadlines that you need to be aware of. You need to be aware of your financial aid deadline for your college. So that's the FAFSA for your college. Say if you're applying to, I saw something from Morehouse College, and they put up something on their Instagram that said that their priority deadline for the FAFSA completion is going to be on February. But like I stated before, this is like a pot of gold, first serve. So the earlier you get to it, the more likely that you are going to get some money. So you want to complete that as soon as possible, but you're going to have deadlines that you have to kind of like fall in line with. You have your college FAFSA deadline, you have your state FAFSA deadline, and you also have your federal FAFSA deadline. The federal FAFSA deadline is going to actually end on June 30th, 2019. That is, you're not going to wait till that long because you're going to be in school from 2018 to 2019. In California, for example, some of the UCs, not some of the UC's application period is from November 1st to approximately November 30th. So you should probably complete you should complete your FAFSA, while you're doing your application. So make sure that you are aware of those deadlines and that you follow them. And the earlier, if you have everything, go ahead and complete the FAFSA. One of the things that's on the FAFSA that you will have to complete is, if you're probably not quite sure all of the schools you're going to apply to, but if you have in mind that you think you may apply to certain schools, make sure that you get the code for them. And so on the site where you complete the FAFSA, that is where you would get the codes for the colleges. If I was in your position, I would definitely look up the codes prior to actually filling them out and writing them down. So there's up to 10 colleges that you can let the government know that you are going to apply to. So some people may say, well, you know what? My parents told me I have money for college. I have a trust fund. So I don't, or not a trust fund, but my parents have money saved up for college. So I don't need to apply for financial aid. First of all, even if they say they do, parents sometimes don't necessarily really talk truthfully to their kids about money. So it's not going to hurt to apply for financial aid. And by completing the financial aid application, which is a FAFSA, it allows you to be qualified for grants, work study, and loans. And it's also a way that the states can determine how much money they are going to allot you. And it's also a way that schools or colleges and universities determine how much money they are going to allot to you. So it is crucial so that you can pay for school. So the number one step that you are going to do is you are going to, along with your parents, and only one parent needs to fill out this information, or whoever you are dependent on. So they're going to need a FSA ID. And what I'll do is I'll also put the links down once I download this video after doing it live. I'll put the links below so that you can, see where to sign up for the information. So the FSA ID, you have to go to fsaid.ed.gov in order to get your parents' FSA ID as well as your ID, because you are the person that is applying to get financial aid. You cannot use the same FSA ID as your parents. They have to have separate FSA IDs. So make sure that you do that beforehand, because in order to fill out the FAFSA form, you will need to have the FSA ID. Okay. So I would suggest also that when you are completing the FAFSA, that you use a computer. And the reason why I'm saying is a computer is because if you're doing it on a mobile phone, you can't necessarily see everything on a tablet. And so by doing it on a desktop or a computer, you can see everything clearly. So that is what you should do. So once again, you are going to get an FSA ID prior to completing the FAFSA. You are going to get the FSA ID for yourself, and your parents are going to get their ID. You're going to make sure that you have your tax return near you, as well as your social security number or your alien registration number, bank statements, records of investments, and your records of an untaxed income. So once you go ahead and you get to the computer and you go to the website, you will go ahead and you will start your application. It takes approximately 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how fast you are in typing, and you have all of your information near you. That's why I'd say it's very important for you to have all the information right next to you. So you would complete that information, all of your part, and you would go ahead and sign it. And then what happens is you save that application unless your parents are right there with you, and then they would use their FAFSA or FSA ID and then complete their section. Once everything is completed, your FAFSA is complete, and the government will determine what is your financial need. So how the government does this is in order to figure out the financial aid that you need, they take the cost of attendance and they subtract the expected family contribution to determine your financial need. The cost of attendance includes tuition, room and board if you're going out of state, or even if you're in state. So the cost of attendance includes your Candy, the cost of attendance includes your room and board, tuition, books, other fees, and they even put transportation too if you are going, you're a commuter student or you are attending from out of town. Your cost of attendance, from that, your expected family contribution is determined and is subtracted from your cost of attendance, and that is how your financial need is determined. Some people might ask, well, the expected family contribution, isn't that what I'm supposed to pay? That's an estimate. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to pay that, depending on what schools you go to. So when you are also doing your FAFSA, when you are filling the financial part where you're putting in your tax information for the 2016 year because you're applying for the 2018-2019 year, they have an IRS data retrieval tool, and what that does is it connects. You have to get a code or whatever, but it connects with the IRS website, and what it does is it basically transfers all of the information from the IRS to your FAFSA application so that it is seamless and efficient, rather than typing all of these different things in. I personally would do the data retrieval because it stops delays, because you could put in something by hand, make a mistake, and the other thing is you might have to send in papers for verification. And like I said before, this is like a pot of money, so it's first come, first serve. So you don't want to have any delays. So by having that IRS data tool and utilizing it, you're able to complete your FAFSA form early or at the earliest, and don't wait till the deadline. Please do it beforehand so that you can get some of that money. You know what I'm going to try to do? Let's see if I can add any people. Like, I know there's this new feature on Facebook, so let me try to add and see if anyone has some questions, because I like this to be a little bit more interactive. Let's see if anyone will actually accept, and I'll see what they're going to say. So, I have a lot of different people on here who work with different youth, so it definitely will be interesting. So, let's see. You know what? I want to see if any of these people are going to if they interact, and then we can see if they have any questions. Like, I know, for example, like Welton, I think his son is a senior and he's going to college. So I know it's smart and all, but there is probably some things that, you might want to know. So the FAFSA form seems like it's a really intimidating thing, but all you have to do is have all of your documents and everything next to you, what you need to complete, and then you just go ahead and complete it as soon as possible. And remember that, if you are going to apply to 3 schools, you go ahead and put those 3 schools. But if you're not quite sure how many schools you're going to apply to, what you do is, I know what I did is I just looked at, put down 10 schools that I might even remotely be interested in, even though there was like 5, just in case, because you don't want to have a situation where you completed the FAFSA and, you didn't put the college where you applied to, and then there's a little misconnect. Another big question that is probably happens to a lot of people. In my case, it happened for me. My dad got laid off in my senior year. So like, for example, if I was in my senior year right now, the income taxes from 2016 wouldn't be reflective of our situation now. Even though it wouldn't be reflective of the situation now, what they ask you to do is you still use your 2016 tax returns, and then you contact the college directly, the financial aid college directly, and let them know that the situation has changed. And so basically you would contact the college financial aid office where you are applying to tell them that your situation has changed, and they'll make adjustments, because we want your financial aid package to actually help you and your family so that you can, get through school. So don't just think that once you complete the FAFSA, it's all done. If you have a situation, maybe a parent has lost a job, or, they're making less money right now this year than they were in 2016. You still complete the FAFSA form online and have your parents also do that. But then what you're going to do after you complete the FAFSA form, you are going to contact the college that you are applying to, financial aid, directly, and let them know that your financial situation, your family's financial situation has changed. I would probably also go ahead and, before you contact them, write a kind of like a rough draft of what happened. So like I stated before, in my case, my senior year was different because my father got laid off. So I would, write an addendum. And so I'd write it in a rough draft so that when I contact the financial aid office, not only am I talking with a financial aid officer, but once that's done, I could send them an email to remind them the conversation of what we had, but they have it in writing so that they can attach it to my financial aid application. Once again, for completing the FAFSA, it is important because this is how your financial need is determined. So by completing the financial aid or the FAFSA form, how they determine the financial aid for each person is the cost of attendance minus the expected family contribution determines your financial need. And so based on your financial need, the college or university will determine what kind of grants that you get, what kind of work study that you may get, and what kinds of loans will be available to you when you are getting into the college. So again, your parents may say, yeah, we have all the money saved up for you to get into, to pay for college. But, this is one of the second biggest expenses of probably your life besides a house. So I wouldn't necessarily just count on that, because right now it seems like I'm not talking about in-state, but just most colleges on the average, if you're not going, within your local city or in your state, it's running around $50,000 plus for tuition, room and board, your books, and all of that stuff. So that's $50,000 a year. And if you're graduating on time, that is about $200,000. Now, how many of your parents or your family members can contribute $200,000 cash towards you getting your college degree? Most can't. So no matter what your family members or your parents or whoever you're staying with tells you, there's no harm in applying for financial aid. So make sure that you do that. The application period has already opened up. I would suggest that you complete your FAFSA form online on a desktop or a laptop and have all of your documents with you when you complete it. First and foremost, you're going to have your FSA ID, and I will put that, once I download that, in the comments below so that you can know where to sign up for your FSA ID for you as a student who's applying to college, as well as one parent will have to have an FSA ID to also complete the FAFSA form with you. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to complete your part, and then your parents are going to complete their part. And say if you can't do it at the same time, then your parent will complete their part, and then what they do is they save it, and then they'll give you some code where you get to open it back up, and then you sign it with your FSA ID. This is like a pot of gold, so it's first come, first serve. So the earlier, the better. You definitely want to pay attention to the different deadlines that exist. There are deadlines for completing the FAFSA for different colleges. There are deadlines for completing the FAFSA, which are different from state to state. And there is a general deadline of completing the FAFSA, which is June 30th, 2019. And we obviously know that you are not going to wait till June 30th, 2019 to get to complete your financial aid form when you are trying to get funding for the 2018-2019 school year. So the sooner the better. And understand when you are completing the FAFSA form, you'll have a slot for 10 colleges that you will be able to put down. Even if you're not quite sure that you're going to apply to that college, go ahead and still put down 10 schools, even if you're remotely interested in a few, okay? It's better to be safer than sorry. So that's basically it for tonight. Once again, I'm going to wrap it up and just tell you to complete your free application for federal student aid. It is quite simple. All you have to have is your 2016 tax returns. You need to have your Social Security card. If you're not a citizen, but you're a resident, and your alien registration number, your bank statements and records of investments and records of untaxed income, and your FSA ID in order to complete the FAFSA. It seems intimidating, but it's not if you take it step by step and just sit down and get it done. I think the earliest college applications that I've seen that are due are by November 30th. So you definitely want to go ahead and complete your financial aid, your free application for federal financial student aid, so that you can get that money for college and determine where you're going to go. So that is our episode tonight. And what I'll do is I will put in the comments below. Once I publish this, I'll put all of the links to where you get your FSA ID and then where you actually complete your FAFSA. And there's little tools which are really good on the FAFSA's website on how to look up the state FAFSA deadline so that you can see. Okay, make sure that you complete the FAFSA once again, because this is how colleges and universities determine how much aid they're going to give you, and also if you qualify for scholarships or grants after school. It's also a way that states determine whether or not they are going to give you financial aid, as well as the government. So once again, you complete the FAFSA form, and it will allow you to qualify for grants, work study, and loans. So I hope that this has helped you, and I hope to see you next week. And based off of what's going on right now, or if you make comments, this will help me determine what the next webinar will be. All right. Have a great night.